Welcome to a new video, and it's a dark video, it's a different video. It's a nighttime video test of the Asus Zenfone 9's camera system, because it has a gimbal inside that claims to be very good for low light photography and low light videos. So we want to try it out right now, this 50 megapixel gimbal camera system on the Asus Zenfone 9. So let's get started. So we start off with the main camera of the Asus Zenfone 9, because this is the gimbal camera. This is 4K 30 frames per second. This is what you can get in the Zenfone 9 in terms of gimbal stabilization, and maybe you get a little bit better low light quality. I'm not so sure about this one. Anyway, this is this gimbal camera. I'm not bothering with the Selfie Cam, just too small of a sensor, and even the ultra wide angle, I think just too small of a sensor. What we can do is try to test out the zoom capabilities here on the moon, as you can see here, and I can zoom in here. This is 2 times, up to 4 times, maybe a little bit darker, maybe the exposure. There we go, and I think this looks nice. Let's go to the ultra wide angle. So you can see this is the ultra wide angle. The sun is set already there, and this is the main cam. You can see there's a quality difference already, and stabilization works pretty good on the main cam using this gimbal camera. But what do you think about this quality here in 4K 30 frames per second? It's not cropping in so much because it's only using the gimbal camera. It's not using any EIS or something like this to stabilize this footage that you usually would have in full HD, which usually also EIS with the lights in the background. Eventually you have this like kind of stutter or this kind of light trails when it tries to stabilize stuff. So what do you think about this video quality here at night with the gimbal camera on the Zenfone 9? And just for the sake of it, the Selfie Cam on the Zenfone 9, 4K 30, but the sensor is so small that you see a lot of blur and a lot of smudges going on of the noise reduction. So this is not the best in terms of nighttime selfie video. Some low light photos, and we start up with a selfie in a semi low light condition. It was like evening already. I was sitting on my sofa here, and you can see that when I zoom in, we see a little bit of grain on this 12 megapixel selfie cam, and but the sharpness is there, but it's a bit of grainy, definitely, for sure. And when we go further, this is the sunset. You can see the colors are fine and HDR is working fine, so this is also still a good and fine image, I would say. And when we take another look at the moon here, sunset already, you can see with the main lens, it is still okay. There is over sharpening going on as well, but it's not so drastic. We can zoom in to 2 times, which looks like this. It's not very spectacular, is it? And this is the maximum zoom and what the device does. Like, I think it's 8 times zoom, and you can see, very pixelated, not very good for a moonshot. When it comes to HDR and colors in general at night, I see a bit of grain already, but I think the colors are okay. It's a bit of dark here. The exposure is a little bit of dark, but it has the right feeling, the nighttime feeling, which I really like. Close-up shots also work fine, but they are grainy as well, as you can see here, especially when it gets dark. But you can get, I didn't see so much of this flower here that I was photographing, but you can get a little bit more brighter picture with the night mode enabled. And this one here did not kick in the night mode. It doesn't have an auto night mode. You have to do the night mode manually. So if you just take a shot like this, you have this overblown highlight, as you can see here. But this looks pretty cool, I would say. This is why I took this photo. Otherwise, here another shot with a night mode enabled, and what you can see here, we have the same amount of sharpness that we see in the daylight. Too sharp, just over sharpened. And this is now a 2 times shot, and here you can see it's a bit softer, but also sharpening up a little bit, and it's grainy. And this is now the maximum zoom, 8 times. You can see, okay, it's a blurry mess, it's not really usable. This shot now with manual photo mode, where I can dial down the exposure, 8 times zoom, and I think this one looks better, the shot of the moon here. Even if I zoom into 100%, it's not the best, it still looks better in this. And this is also what I tried out with the other photos here. This is the night mode shot that you can get here. Looks pretty fantastic, I would say. This is the manual mode shot, where I just put the ISO a bit down to not have so much grain in the shot, and you can see it helps with the grain, but it's a bit too dark in terms of exposure. But I like this shot because this is more realistic to what I saw with my eyes, and this is the opposite. I slowed down the shutter speed basically to get a bit more brighter exposure with having the same kind of ISO, and you can see, yeah, the noise is down, but also the shakiness is improved, so the stability of the gimbal does not help in night mode much. Even with this like still live photo, it's not really helpful. And then I dialed it, I think, to something that is this, a bit brighter exposure where you can see still things, the details are there, it's a bit of noisy, but yeah, you can experiment with the Pro mode in night mode, that works pretty fine. This is the silky water mode that I enabled here. You can see silky smooth water here of this river, and everything else is pretty fine. So it's taking a longer exposure, and I didn't have a tripod. No, I was holding it with my hands, and it was taking a very long exposure, but still managed to do such a good job that I'm very impressed by this, I have to say. And I could imagine that light trails and other modes that are available in this special nighttime mode would work as well here. Here, panorama shot where you can see how, yeah, the sun set here in the background. Everything is a bit grainy here. It was taking it with the main cam, not the ultra wide angle. And here you can see that, yeah, it's a bit of blurry. I'm not sure what's going on. I think Asus has to improve this. Maybe it's the nighttime, but it seems to be blurry. And here, yeah, it's a bit of pixelated and not the best. Maybe they have also issues with the panorama mode and the gimbal that they have built in. Selfies, this is now the selfie cam taking portrait mode. Forget about it. It's just blurry, as you can see. If I zoom out, it might look okay because it's the exposure of the face is nice. I really have to agree to this because otherwise I would have expected a dark photo, but the exposure is nice, but everything else is blurry and details are missing. And what is this shadow on my hand? I don't really know. Maybe it failed to lighten up this because all the other skin colors are lightened up for some reason, and this is probably the one that the real, how it would look real. My fingers are not that black, no. And then the same selfie with the bokeh effect or portrait mode with the back camera, doing a much better job already, but it's very grainy. You can see the sharpness is there, but yeah, details are lost. There is sharpness here on my face. You can see all the pixels going on, and the rest is blurry here. I think the portrait mode is working fine here, maybe a little bit with the hand issues, but yeah, the exposure of this one here is much better. It was taken at the same position like 1 minute later max, so I would like this exposure with this sharpness in this photo here. Then another shot that I showed you already in my daylight shots here, to demonstrate you, yeah, okay, it's taking good shots in nighttime, but the gimbal is not a magic tool that helps you to get better shots. It's just the sensor size and of course the way the gimbal works. Another shot here, and you can see already in this shot where there's light in my room, we have a little bit of grain already going on here. You can see a bit of dust as well, but there's a bit of grain going on as well. Then this shot I also showed you already. It's, I think, in dim lit situations doing a good job in brightening up, but the details are lacking a bit and you can see noise creeping in. An ultra low light shot, 3-second exposure with the night mode. This is what you get. This is the 7 seconds night mode that you can enable in the settings. It's a bit of blue. If you raise the ISO manually, you also get this bluish kind of tint. And this is, I think, the best shot where I manually dialed in everything, but it is completely unsharp because, like I said, the gimbal is not performing wonders, not performing magic like I would have expected the gimbal to be. Long exposures, no issues was my expectations, but this is not the case here. Overall, it's a very average kind of result, I would say. For a flagship device, I think there might be even mid-range devices that are a bit better in terms of night mode. So yeah, Asus has to work on this because this is not a flagship grade night mode experience. What do you think about the Zenfone 9 and its night photography capabilities? I think I expected a little bit more of the gimbal camera, because this one is a bit of shaky still. I get like blurry pictures for some reason, and I think that the gimbal should provide a better stability, especially for photos. For video I think it's fine, but I see like a lot of artifacts already growing into the picture. And is it really necessary? I think there are sensors. The sensor size is very big here, large, 1/1.5. I think it should be able to get a little bit more light. It should be able to process this a little bit better also for video, and I expected more also for the video in the gimbal mode. But what are your thoughts? Write them down in the comment section. That's everything for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Until the next time, bye.